Hi, I'm going to comment on the Kyle Rittenhouse and the Ahmaud Arbery trials, both of which are very interesting. I'm going to say about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, we could all see from the beginning there were lots of problems with this case, and that the defense put up a very good defense for Kyle as to why he shot these people. He claimed it was self-defense, and he never varied from that allegation that it was self-defense. He was able to cry, and he seemed very sincere when he cried. So I can't comment on whether it was fake or real, but it did, of course, have an effect on the jury. The fact that he went, and it was driven supposedly by his mother, to this riot is unbelievable. I don't know of any mother who would put her child in such a situation, but there are some parents who do these things all the time. And this mother did. She took Kyle, put him in the car, drove him to where this riot was. He supposedly had an AK-47 there. He strapped it on and then carried a bag which said medic. I don't know what kind of medic is 17 years old. And then went out under the guise of saying he was going to be a medic. But you can't be a medic and a rifleman, because you can't do both things. You're either a rifleman or you're a medic. So that medic bit was just a farce. That was a cover for him to go out and basically be a rifleman, and that's what he wanted to do. But he was spurred on by the news media, which kept harping that the police at the riot were overwhelmed, they didn't have enough people, that they were being outnumbered and they were in fear, and so on and so forth, and the media kept harping on this. And as a 17-year-old and a person who was very loyal to the country, who didn't want to see the police get overwhelmed, he felt he needed to go out and help the police by bringing his AK-47, because the media had this picture of a gunfight that was happening at the riot place, and they needed more guns, they needed more people with guns. So that's what Kyle, I believe, went out to do. And as a passionate 17-year-old, I can see this happening because when I was an age of 17, I was very interested in politics. I was very interested in the country. And I can see other people having that same response to a very emotional news media that kept broadcasting the dangers that were out there during this riot. So Kyle went out to shoot people, but he found that when people fought back, that he was in fear of his life, and then he started shooting people not to stop the riot, but to defend himself, because he was in a situation that he was unprepared for and he didn't know how to handle. So unfortunately, it led to people being dead. Their lives are lost forever, and those families, I just can't imagine. They seemed like really good people when the news media covered them, and it's a shame that they lost their lives because of this kid who was out there, clearly should not have had the AK-47, and whatever the situation happened, and he shot these people. He was being tried in a place where people believed in standing your ground, defending yourself. If you're afraid, just shoot and kill. Normally, I think of stand your ground as being a place where you're in your home. You could be outside your home and shoot somebody, but normally you're thinking maybe in your car or something. But normally you don't think of somebody who's going to a riot, who then has a gun strapped to their body, thus inviting people to fight them, because people around you, if you have a gun strapped to your body, are going to be afraid of you, because they think, well, you're a nut. What are you doing out there with an AK-47 strapped to your body? And the fact that when he got knocked down on the ground, he claimed he was afraid for his life didn't make any sense, because the AK-47 was strapped to his body. Nobody could take that gun and pull it away from him because it was strapped over his body, and they couldn't have gotten it away from him. So the whole thing didn't make any sense. So, but I can see in that area where he was being tried that they believed this and they let him go. So that case is what it is, and it's just a very sad story for all concerned. Kyle will have his life ruined. He doesn't realize this yet. He's just a kid, and he will carry this forever because of the publicity. And the people who lost lives, of course, they can never be brought back, and their families will suffer forever at having lost these family members. The second case is the Ahmaud Arbery case, which just horrible, horrible case where somebody's jogging, they go into a construction site, they walk around, they may or may not have taken something. In this case, he didn't seem to take anything. He was just looking, and I can understand that. Boys, men, even women are very interested in construction, and I can see if you're seeing something being built, you might want to go over and check, how did they build this? What does this look like? What does it look like to build a frame for a building? What's in there? And we see these construction videos all the time, so I can see somebody jogging on a regular basis who's passing this construction site, who periodically might want to go in there and see how the progress is going, and not necessarily even want to take anything from it. And it doesn't seem as if he did take anything from it. But these people, because of the color of the person's skin, they chase him down, they hunt him down, they have rifles, and they approach him, they create fear in him, and when he tries to defend himself from these people who look hostile and aggressive, and in fact do have guns, they try to claim for themselves fear and say they had to shoot him. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm sure these people have had self-defense courses, and somebody just walking towards you does not give a grown adult that much fear that they would feel they have to shoot him, especially when there were multiple people. I think there were 3 people there. So even if he did throw a punch at one of them, the other 2 would have easily fought him if it did turn into a fight. Of course it didn't, because he never had a chance, and they just shot him down when he did absolutely nothing. He was just wondering why these people are coming up behind him and interfering with his jog. So they did reach the right decision in that case. All of those men were convicted of murder, and I hope it sends a message to some people that stand your ground is, in some places, going to leave you pretty much defenseless if you are, especially if you're a minority. So you need to be very careful about the laws of your area, about the sentiments in your area, and if you are in a place where they are letting people do almost anything, understand your ground, you need to be very careful about your actions, because they are, in some places, extending this to cover more and more situations. The case in the Ahmaud Arbery situation was so clearly defined as people tracking a man down and killing him while he showed no signs of aggression, he had no gun, and they had no reason to kill him. So that was convicted of murder, but most cases are not going to be that clear-cut. In most cases, people might have some sort of stone they might throw. They might put their fists up as if they're going to fight. They might jump at the person and give more credence to the defense that the person was standing his ground and fearful for his life, and that Ahmaud case might have gone differently if he had done anything to really defend himself, or if he in any way were a bigger person and looked like he was a strong male. In this case, he was not a strong male. The three men who were after him were very strong men, adults, who could easily defend themselves, and made the case more clear-cut. But that won't always be the situation. So you have to be very careful as to where you're going and what you're doing, and know that in some of these cases you might be killed and the people who killed you might get off.